Guys, how is everyone today? Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, please. I should say. Um, I am going to bring up my live stream on my desktop. I'm feeling a little loopy. Um, I was stung by a wasp. It's been a long time since I've been stung by a wasp. However, in my very first ultra, I was stung 6 or 7 times. And then the same race several years later, I was stung 9 times. In various races, I have been stung ground wasp. And each time I began to get more and more sensitive to them. You'd think it might be the opposite, You'd think that maybe when you get stung, you build up sort of a immunity to the effects of getting stung. Well, for one, it's always going to hurt, and man, does it hurt. Get stung right above my ankle, fleshy part. And because I've been getting more and more sensitive to bee stings, all those years of ultra running and getting stung so many times, especially that one time I was stung 9 times, my hands started to swell, my tongue swelled up a little bit. So I immediately took some Benadryl. So today, after getting stung, some workers were cutting down trees, and they let us get by. And I stepped over a branch, and there was a very agitated wasp, understandably so, and it stung me. Was thinking about stinging me again. However, I kindly persuaded it not to. So I took a little bit of Benadryl to make sure that everything didn't swell up. Because as I said, as I get more and more, as I get stung more often, I've gotten more sensitive to the effects. So Milka was concerned, so she had me take some Benadryl. I don't take medication really, so it has thrown me a little loopy. I'm just responding to someone's video, and then I'm going to bring the conversation up on my desktop. Jace, how are you, my friend? I'm going to drop a link in just a moment. Are you subscribed to Eric Varenne? He's a French burpee and pull-up practitioner. This is his link. You might be interested in visiting. I hope the link works. He doesn't usually pop in live streams, but he's a little bit older than me. So I think he's in his early 60s. And man, is he fit. He's coming off of, I believe it was knee surgery. So he's feeling his way back in, but he's back to doing burpees. His pull-ups are spot on. One of my favorite guys. As well as just an outstanding burpee practitioner, physical specimen. Let's take a cruise on over to Jace's channel. 678. We need to put in a request with Mir. It's time to push Jace up to 1,000. Jace should be at 1K. I mentioned before, I have a theory. I have a theory on what I call 100K channels. Channels that deservedly should be at 100K right now. Optimob is a 1K channel. I think Brian Lane is a 1K channel because of the message that he has, what he's been through and where he's going, and his willingness to guide people in that direction. Jace is a 1K, 100K channel. Um, deserves that wide viewership because of what he's doing. It's not for self gain, it's not for ego gratification, that he's leading people on a journey. And a lot of people might look at Jason and say, well, it's an exercise channel. If you think it's an exercise channel, you're not paying attention. It is, he exercises, but this is why I say Jason is a yogi, because it's bhakti, Bhakti, which means devotion. And you see the clear devotion that Jace has for mind, body, and spirit, and for helping other people. You could also call it karma yoga. Karma yoga is selfless service. And Jace is certainly doing selfless service. Eric Point says, hey, Yogi and Jace. Hey, Eric, how about you? Are you subscribed to Eric Varenne? It's his channel up above. Jace just subscribed. He is a French burpee brother, as well as a pull-up master. Some of the best pull-ups in the game. As far as pull-ups, Gustro, Gainsborough, and Eric Varenne. Eric Varenne has stopped in the live streams from time to time, but it's been a long time. I need him to get to stop by soon so we can have free Erics in the chat and just confuse everyone. More so than they already are. Let's see here, guys. Kyle's here. Kyle says, hey. Kyle, how are you? Jay says that would cost some laughs for sure. Jay says, Kyle, buddy. I don't know if we've had free Erics here before. Probably. We had an Eric impersonator. So, hey, Eric Lapointe had some, again, pardon me, I just took Benadryl for the first time in probably 5 or 6 years, and it is feeling a little spacey because I was stung by a wasp. And the only reason I took the Benadryl, long story short, I already explained it up above, I started getting allergic to bees. I never was before, but, you know, again, my first ever ultra, I was stung 5 or 6 times. I did the same race a few years later, and I was stung 9 times. I did the race again. I don't know why I kept doing that race. Maybe it's because the first ultra I ever did. And I got stung several times more, along and during some other races. And I kept having worse and worse effects every time I got stung, because I was stung so many times all at once. Mir's here. Mir says, Sir Yogi. Mir, how are you, my friend? Sorry I missed your live stream, but I did have it up so I could replay it. Just a few minutes ago, I was talking about Jace being what I call a 100K channel. Just hasn't gotten there yet. However, that's his potential, in my estimate. Mir says, how are you all, brothers? I'm doing pretty well. Eric, thanks for subscribing to Eric. He's a good guy. He does speak English. He likes to reply at some of my stuff in French. He was out with knee surgery for a while, so I hadn't been doing too many videos, but he's back now. Mir says, no, sorry. It's okay, sir, Yogi. You all family coming here. So, as I said, though, I did have it up to play the replay. And I'll have Mir's channel up throughout the day. I got Jace. What I'd love to see is Jace hit that 1K and get his 3,000 watch hours, which is the first level, right around the same time. And then one big push, get him up to 4,000. Speaking of which, I just shared it on my page a little bit ago. Mayhem and Miracles is live. So if anyone is interested in growing their channel, that's the place to do it, guys. Mir says, thanks for your kindness, sir. You know what, Mir? I also think a bit about being kind to myself because I love your channel. I love the shots. I love the peaceful feeling that I get when I watch your videos. So I do it as much for myself as I do it for you, my friend. And I'm 100% happy to do it for you. It's just nice that when you get those positive qualities back in return. Happy, fortunate way of doing it. Mira says, yes, I try, sir. Today I have 7K, guys. You're at 7K subscribers? You are at 7K subscribers. That is absolutely awesome. Mira, congratulations, and it could not have happened to a more deserving person, my friend. There it is. There's Mira's link. 7,000 subs. And again, everyone, well-deserved, well-earned. Barb is here. Barb says, first off, sorry, Barb, I really enjoyed the shorts that you did from your walk. And congratulations for a longer walk. Your first long walk since surgery. So Barb says, blessings and hugs to all my spiritual brothers and sisters. May you all have a great day and achieve all your goals. Thank you, Barb. My goal was to wake up. I did pretty good. My goal was to wake up, and you know what? The day just kept getting better and better from there. Speaking of goals, not that it's been a goal, but Eric Lapointe was here for this last night on the live stream. 72 people showed up. 72 people didn't stay. Doesn't matter. They showed up. Came into the room, asked some questions, said some stuff. I think Jace was here for that too. And then most of them left, which is okay. You figure 72 people show up, that means you always have the potential for 73 people to show up. That means you have the potential for 100 people to show up. It means you have the potential for thousands to show up. I don't know what I would say to 1,000 people. Probably something completely ridiculous. Barb says, thank you. Yes, it was. And today I am sore. It's a good sore, though. You know, it's the sore of being active, of getting out there, using new muscles that haven't been worked for quite some time. You got some fresh air. You got some nature. All of that is healing. Anything that helps our friend Barb on the healing journey, all the better. Let me know next time you're going to go on a nature walk, and we'll send some specific nature prayers, some specific nature healing prayers. Mir says, hey, Sister Barb, there, how are you? My best wishes for your good health and happiness, sister. Thank you for that, Mir. William is here. Ruth says, as I said, Yogi, your message hasn't quite yet in time reached everyone. I have faith all will be taken in when they are most capable of receiving the insight. Well, thank you for that, William. You know what? I had a little bit of a realization last night talking to our friend. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Who was our young scientific friend? That sometimes you definitely can't give someone an insight. They have to come to that on their own. However, you can maybe lupus. Thank you, Eric. You can maybe pave the way. You can maybe even things out a little bit so that they arrive. And several times he came really, really close, and then quickly retreated back into a scientific mode of thinking. Isn't bad, but it can be limiting. The same with if you are strictly thinking um, as a Buddhist, dogmatic, that can be bad. Trick is to be open to the mystery itself. The universe speaks the language of everything. It speaks the language of science, which is a way of explaining things on a particular level. It speaks the language of love. It speaks the language, that's its only language, to be completely honest, that I've ever been able to decipher. Mir says, Eric, thank you for your kindness, brother. Eric Lapointe is one of the kindest people, for certain. I don't know if it's a prerequisite for working on a Christmas tree farm in Connecticut, or if working on a Christmas tree farm in Connecticut turns you into one of the nicest guys on YouTube. Do you have a theory on that, Eric Lapointe? I know for certain, though, the more time you spend out in nature, the more at ease you become, the more contemplative, the easier going, the more attuned and in touch you are, and a little more stress-free. Hey, we were just, yep, I come as you spoke my name, Eric. I was just talking about you. Nothing but good stuff. Jay says, it's only the mind that creates barriers. Absolutely, Jace. Well said. As always. Jace says, Lupus, hello. Goldie says, hi there, lovely people. Hi there, lovely Goldie. I don't remember if you said this was a 10-hour or a 12-hour day. I know it's day 3 in a 6-day streak. I'm thinking you had 3, or you had 2 12-hour days, and then you had a 10-hour day, so is today the 10-hour? Eric Lapointe is not sure. Do you feel a difference doing what you're doing? As if, being out in nature more has had a effect on your emotional life? My answer for almost anything would be get out in nature, get out in nature, get out in nature. You're stressed out, get out in nature. You're looking for a creative or spiritual epiphany, get out in nature. Now, you can also do some Tai Chi or Qigong in nature. You can practice yoga. You can do some breath work. But when you're in nature, your breath will automatically start to slow down. You enter very lightly into those alpha wave states. Less than an hour to go. Awesome. I am built different. So what? 3 arms, 4 testicles, 3rd eye in the back of the head, maybe an ear on the chest. Jay says, Goldie, may it pass smoothly? Absolutely. Lupus says, I focused while meditating and I saw nothing, but I felt happy. Happiness is no small thing, my friend. Some people spend a lifetime trying to find happiness. and amazing. You can shut your eyes and find it right where you are. This is why St. Catherine of Siena said, all the way to heaven is heaven. The purpose of meditation is to meditate. People are like, when am I going to get there? When am I going to get enlightened? Enlightenment is meditation. Opus is here. Otis, sorry. I was reading Lupus and Odom. Odom, my last day at work this week. Glad but sad. Reason I lost my nephew Monday. I'm sorry to hear that. Odom, sending prayers to you, to your family. May your nephew rest in peace. Such sad news. Do you have to travel? Jay sends out a heart to our friend Odom. Mir says, hey Odom brother, how are you? Eric Point says, oh yes it has. I'm way more happy and I feel like I complain less than the other people because of the environment they are in. Man, nature, it really is a cure-all. Fixes everything. And again, you can fine-tune it. Do you want to move a little quicker in nature? Do you want to move a little slower in nature? You want to turn it into a meditation walk? You can do the breathing mantra walk that I've mentioned before. Making sure that you slow down so you can always nasal breathe the entire time, staying mindful of the breath, and you're repeating a mantram. A mantram is different than a mantra. A mantra is a word that has no specific meaning, and you rely upon the vibratory quality of the words. A mantram has some meaning to it, and you repeat it to invoke the name of God. I know, Lupus, there is no God. Or to invoke a sense of peace, or a sense of happiness, or a sense of fulfillment, hope, faith. Doesn't matter, you pick that mantram for that specific purpose. It's important though, if you pick a mantram, stay with it. Don't switch around, because you want it to sink deep and deep and deep inside of you, to bring out the presence that's already there. You'll hear our friend Jace often talk about planting a seed at the end of his workouts when he does his talk. Dharma talk, purposeful talk, is what it's called in the yogic and Buddhist community. Dharma talk. And I'll explain more about that in a minute. But if you keep switching mantrams, you never plant the seed. It's like planting a tomato seed and then digging it up an hour later and looking for the tomato, and then doing it the next day. Why is this tomato growing? Because you keep pulling it up. You don't allow it to get deep enough, and you don't nurture it. Dharma, the word itself in Sanskrit, has two specific meanings. One, mostly in the Buddhist community, it's teachings. We're teaching the Dharma. But the original meaning within yoga is purpose. Why are we here? The Dharma. I remind myself that every time I pick up a worm and put it off the path after it rains, every time somewhere safe, every time I bring a spider outside, if it's an outside spider, every time I do a small act of courtesy in nature, that not stepping on an ant, every time, every life, no matter how small, has a dharma. And because I am involved, even for a moment, by not stepping on the ant, our dharmas are entwined. The fact that we are having this conversation, all of us, one dharma. Our purpose is our purpose. Our purpose is to talk. Our purpose is to exist together for this moment. Erica Point waves and sends a prayer to our friend Odom. Lupus says, I was out about my particularly always coming when people speak my name. I think I'm chosen one for information. It's interesting the way you did that. Pretty amazing. Super says, if you go out to nature, you say hello, greeting it, but not in physical term. The reason said for humans, uh, it's important to say hello is to be aware that we are not lonely. We all know loneliness can, why take something off its path. Fate leads us into what we should be and what we need to be. Interesting words. You almost sound like a mystic, my friend. When I go out in nature, I'm usually working, at least the beginning, with my own mantra. Now, a mantra you don't want to reveal to other people. Everyone's mantra is personal. The reason why you don't want to reveal it is because then it becomes too familiar. But a mantra, you can share it with other people. Gandhi's mantra was Rama. Um, Eknath Aswaran, the one who taught me through books and through tapes, um, and through students of his, what a mantra is, uh, suggested Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So I go outside and I repeat that, and it's simply a praise to God without the concept of God. Existence, reality, nature. Loneliness can kill. It certainly can. Some are saying right now that we are in a loneliness epidemic. Which is funny because I spend less, not funny, haha. I spend less time with actual people than probably ever before in my life. I'm somewhat reclusive. And if Mocha did come over with Misty, I see people, I avoid people on my early morning walks. If I even catch sight of someone ahead of me, I start going another direction. Nothing against people. Some of my favorite people are people. But when I'm out in nature that early in the morning, my sole purpose is to be out in nature, to see whatever I can see, to film whatever I can film. And when I film, I try to talk with nature. I give a big thank you to whatever pauses just long enough for me to film it. Just has a very sacred feel to it, unsurprisingly, as it is called the hour of God, or the hours of God. When I go out for my second walk, or a little bit of running, I'm more sociable. I'll stop, I'll pet dogs, I'll say hi to neighbors, and that actually annoys Mocha a bit, because I have a tendency to talk longer with these people. But for the most part, I'm fairly reclusive. I don't go out, I don't do stuff. I spend an entire day in a house with my brother. Not one word is ever exchanged. Nothing personal. It's not like we don't care for each other. We do. Man, I've known him for almost 60 years. What do I have? What do I have left to say to him? Lupa says we should all meditate. It calms my brain and makes some more educated. I believe you are right, but we shouldn't ruin humanity. We should rather improve it and spread its resources of life. Oh, I agree with you 100%, my friend. I think that's our mission, if we have one. The calmer the brain, the more relaxed the brain, the more efficient the brain is. And we also stop breaking things down into categories. We see, even when we say mind body, we're creating a distinction, that there's a separation. But it's just one word, mind body. We can say it really fast to give that significance. Mind body, one thing, no pause. Mind body spirit, even better. And we know that, one, by, science now knows that we have several actual brains in the body, um, besides the brain that we traditionally think of as just the brain, that the heart is a intellectual site within the body. It processes information and energy, as does the gut biodome. Lupa says the mission now is power. We might all die in the next 20 years. In 2022, the room's day clock was 12 minutes or something to midnight. Doom's clock. Yep, I agree. But you know what? When one person starts meditating, it's another act of transformation that leads us farther away from that ever happening. Jay says, Lupus, I don't meditate or read books, but I sure do have an idea about life. Values are significant. Everything has a set of values. Everything has a set value. Lupus says, sorry, my vocabulary ruins my speech. Not at all. You get your point across very well. Lupus says, we should value the importance of everything, not just one. Absolutely. And beautifully said. So, hey, Lupus, your vocabulary is definitely getting your point across. And it's doing so, like I said, in a very beautiful way. This is why I said before, by the way, that Jace is a natural yogi. Not meditating, not reading books, but he has those clear insights. Ramana Maharshi, considered one of the greatest self-realized yogic saints ever. He really put forth the path of jhana yoga, self-inquiry, asking, who am I? Almost incessantly, who am I? Never settling on an answer. He was uneducated. He didn't meditate. He wasn't particularly religious. He had an uncle who died, and it filled him with an incredible sense of fear, of impermanence, that we're all going to die. What's going to happen when we die? He didn't want to be annihilated, didn't want to be nothing, but he didn't know if he believed in the Hindu tradition of reincarnation. Didn't know. All he knew was he was afraid. He decided to confront his fear and lie down and imagine what it would like to be dead. And by doing so, he fell into a near-death experience. He was so vivid in his journey. And when he ended it, he had no fear of death, and he was awakened. He went to a mountain. This was a mountain in the south of India, and just sat. He said the mountain was his guru. The mountain told him everything he needed to know. He started studying the ancient scriptures until he felt like he had enough education. Then he put them aside, and he just lived his life as a realized being. Pokemon is here. Pokemon, how are you? Lupa says, I believe all world leaders should be sent to space to look at this blue, lonely planet we control, but we shouldn't be able to control the fate of life. Agreed. Some people have said they think every world leader should take some mushrooms or LSD. I got to be careful speaking of that, as it could be considered drug talk. It isn't. It's plant medicine talk, but we'll leave it at that. Or, hey, imagine if every world leader spent some time meditating, if they were taught how to meditate and practice it. So Pokemon says, hello, my friend. Good to see you. It's good to see you too. Lupus says, the wonders of being dead is what doesn't make us afraid of it. The exploration. Also the inevitability. I had to pause to make sure that entire word was going to come out right. I will not try to say that again today. Tempted. I'm not going to. Jace says, fist bump for Pokemon. Pokemon says, hello chat. Hope everyone is having a great day. Jace, what's up, my friend? Jace says, do we control the planet? That's a great question. It is a great question. The answer ultimately, in my opinion, would be no. But our thinking that we do, our thinking that we can do it, is going to possibly lead to our own destruction. Thinking that we have a right to, that it's ours to do as we please. I believe it was Wolf who mentioned this before, and Wolf is here. Hello, my friend. Maybe it was Wolf, maybe it was Squirrel Sniper. Dominion over doesn't mean power over. So even if you're biblically based and you read that we were given dominion over the earth, that doesn't mean it's ours to do what we want. It means it was given for our care. And man, are we failing that mission. Wolf says, Lupus, that is the problem. We think we're in control, but we are not. Perfectly said, Wolf. Jay says, Pokemon, I'm good, thanks. Just had my dinner. Nice. And then there's going to be some playtime later with Lena. Way to burn off some more calories. Wolf says, hi, Jace. And Jace says, Wolf, brother. Let's see. Lipa says, we have mastered the use of weapon, graded uranium. We control the fate of what happens. Or we think we do. Next point says, I don't know if this has happened to you, Yogi, but I've meditated and I saw not with my eyes, but my mind figures and images play out in real time with a oil drop in the water type of colors. Not specifically like that, but I've had similar things. The key to meditation is you're going to have, these are called siddhis. Siddhis. And a siddhi is almost like it's a mystical experience. It's a magical experience. That the longer you meditate, the more you get, the more your intuition plays out. The more you almost have a sixth sense of what's going to happen. You feel luckier. Patanjali describes all of them in his Yoga Sutras. But the key is, as you develop them, you also dismiss them because they're ego tricks as well. And we get stuck on that specific level of meditation and we never go deeper. The ultimate goal of meditation is to awaken to our mind stuff. But if we get more involved in the powers of the mind, which are vast and nearly unlimited, maybe unlimited, then we're always on the level of the mind. But we're more than just the mind. I should say we're more than just the brain. Some traditions, specifically the Buddhists, will, and the Course in Miracles as well, will separate the brain from the mind. Eric Point says, if that makes sense, it does make sense. And no plan aid was used. It's always signs of progression when something like that happens. But at the same time, they're so amazing when things like that happen that we want to repeat them. So we end up staying again on that level. The key is enjoy them when they happen. Think of them as a gift, but then we just keep showing back up to meditate day after day. It's like getting a magical 300 set of burpees that felt effortless, and we want to go back to the mat and do it every single time. And the next day we realize, man, that ain't going to happen every day. Lupus says, just like us, we control the fate of ourselves, and now we control if we either destroy the planet or save it. Control can be categorized into sections. We control the fate of life. There's over 12K nuclear bombs. Way too many, that's for sure. The scary thing is, the longer we meditate, the more we realize how little control we have over anything. But of course, we think we do. And then you think of all those weapons in the hands of people who are deluded in thinking that they have control over stuff. Every single one of those, every single world leader, every single person following those leaders are addicted to their opinion, addicted to their thoughts. And all of those thoughts are confirming what they want to be true. Jay says, lupus bombs will never be an issue. Propulsion is the secret. Wolf says, the fact that we control anything is the ultimate illusion. I agree, especially when we dive into free will. I love talking matters of free will with our friend Osiris when he shows up. Maybe as I mentioned his name, and it's been a bit since he's posted, maybe he'll pull a lupus trick and he'll show up since I mentioned his name. Lupus says, there is a secret. E equals MC. Don't forget the squared. Lupus says, we will all die, but that's fate's choice. Eric Point says, this is true. I have learned to enjoy them because it won't happen if I force it. Very insightful, Eric. Yeah, because I've definitely been there where I would try. I want this again. That was such an amazing experience. I can't wait to meditate again and have it happen just the way it did before. And of course, it doesn't. I was very fortunate to be guided by some amazing meditation teachers, which didn't keep me from making mistakes, but I was able to share my mistakes, and then I didn't keep making those mistakes. Mistakes are like, I think of it in terms of when a pilot is piloting an airplane. I've read somewhere that they are off course like 90% of the time, but by managing the direction, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, they end up pinpoint exactly where they need to be, on the exact runway they need to be, to the exact point. Absolutely amazing that someone could be off course 90% of the time and yet end up exactly in this limited perimeter, exactly where they need to be. That's meditation. If you keep showing up, you'll wake up. You'll see all that mind stuff and you'll realize, man, all that junk's been going on my entire life and it's not even me. And I've been addicted to it. But now you see it, you break the addiction. Some people, when they see it, they don't like it and they rush back to reclaim their addictions because it's the only identity they've ever had. When you see it, now you're confronted with something. Do I continue? Do I step back into that all familiar role? Or do I break free? Become a brand new person, a more loving person, a more compassionate person, a more empathetic person? I remembered just a few little awakening experiences, and afterwards, months, weeks, days, years later, people who knew me from a time before would say, what happened? Something's different. You seem more at ease. Could have been that I wasn't drunk. that could have been an all-important thing. Could have been that all my hair fell out. Cody says, yes, we all die, and some of us have faith that there's something else after death. Absolutely. Lupa says, hard to get the squared into this comment section. Wish I could help with that. Jay says, Goldie, none of us die. That's the other option. Good to have an option. Goldie says, I choose to believe that is God, but it's your choice if you want to believe or not. Just don't try to convince others to give up their faith. Absolutely. And of course, here's the amazing thing about Goldie. It goes both ways. She would say that if someone was arguing with a Buddhist, saying you shouldn't be a Buddhist, you should give it up, you should be this, Gaudi would say the same thing. Don't try to convince, let others come. Lead by example. Let others come where they're supposed to come, if they are supposed to come, by your example, not by your insistence. And I've actually seen Gaudi do that. Absolutely amazing. That's the nature of when you're confirmed in your faith. You know you're not going to be swayed out of it. And you realize that, that confirmation itself is a gift. Because with that strength, other people are going to be drawn to it. Wolf says, "Hi, Goldie. I disagree on one point. There is something after this life for everyone, just not all the same." I think Goldie would agree with that. I could be mistaken. Odom says, "Hello, Moon Wolf." And Wolf says, "Hi to Odom." Odom says, "I trust in God, my Savior, the one who never fails. He will never fail." Odom has he's another one with that conviction that is unshakable. And when you see someone like that who spontaneously breaks out in song because of the wonders that he sees, knowing that it's the wonders of God, again, to stick with Gaudi on this, Odom has never said your way of thinking is wrong. It's his conviction. And he knows that by his own quiet faith, that those who need to hear that message will come. He doesn't need to go out and force it on anyone. And he never, ever has tried, nor has Gaudi. Lupa says, technically then, we don't know anything. What we see, the illustration of light. But you can't deny existence because of that. It's why senses exist and why all animals are different. I never ever deny existence. Existence is the one thing that we can know. I exist. I am. Beyond that, it's a guessing game. We can know our existence, and we can know that existence is awareness. That's why everything else is called faith. Gaudi says, I have never said you have to believe my way. It's your choice. Remember Laradox? I was the one who told him not to Bible bash. Absolutely. And that's why that was the example that I was alluding to without saying exactly. You said a beautiful example on how to live your faith without even bothering to attempt to change anyone. Be yourself. When you have that deep conviction of a Gaudi and of a Odom, people will be drawn. The right people will be drawn to you, and then you can help. But you can never debate someone into faith, and you can never debate someone out of faith. And why would you want to? Eric Point says, Lupus, I personally think the planet actually care what happens to it. The planet has been through many cycles. I do not know if it makes sense. It does make sense. It's actually a very yogic perspective that the world is continuously, or the universe is continuously being breathed into existence by the breath of God, being inhaled out of existence by the breath of God, and repeating the cycles and the cycles and the cycles over and over again. Everything that can happen has happened and will continue to happen. Maybe in different ways, maybe not in different ways. As well, there is the growing cosmology and the science of cosmology is more and more coming to the conclusion that this is just all, it's consciousness, all one aware system The earth, we aren't separated from the earth. The Gaia principle. The Gaia, depending on how you like to say it. And that the earth is conscious, that the universe is conscious and is evolving, and that we are pinpoints of light within the evolutionary process. The universe evolves through us and as us, but it also evolves through a squirrel and as a squirrel, through a wolf and as a wolf, through a rock and as a rock. And I absolutely love that line of thinking. Let's see. Goldie says, hi there, Lyric Point. And she says, hi to Jace. Lupa says, the perspective changes no matter what you do. I got to think about that one. I don't disagree. I'm just not sure the right way to address that. That was a great response, Eric Lapointe. Gordy says, hi to the Pokemon. Jason says, Eric Lapointe, you have answered many questions. Everything is a cycle, even us. Nicely said, Jace. Let's see. Lupa says, even my comment, people are interested in sharing their ideas, but what do we actually know? Are we sure there isn't the memorial state of death? Very well could be. Eric, what point do you have? Are you saying we have been here before? Well, many people think so. I like to think in terms more of less in terms of the Atman, which is a personal soul, and more in the Buddhist perspective of rebirth, which is different than reincarnation. Everything is reborn because right now we're breathing in air that Michelangelo once breathed in. We are breathing in air that Jesus has once breathed out. We are made of the same molecules as the woolly mammoth, saber-toothed tigers, Neanderthal men. We are made of the same particles of the very moment, and the same gases and the same elements, the very moment the universe itself came into existence. How is that for recycling? How is that for rebirth? Every moment is a once upon, and it's being reborn into something else. Buddhist terms, interdependence. Everything is dependent on everything else. It was relatively put forth by Narjuna, a great Buddhist master. Some say second only to the Buddha himself. The theory of relativity that he put out 2,000 years before Einstein was a glimmer. MF Dreadson. Dreadson has a new video out. I haven't checked it out yet, but I'm definitely going to. If you guys want some quality work, MF Dreadson is definitely the place to go. How are you, my friend? Dreadson says, greetings, fam. Lupa says, no proof, only ideas. Everything's in here. We could say, and again, I'm just going to use the word God. Let's not all get upset over the use. Some might say that we are ideas in the mind of God. It's all a story, and it's all fiction. Doesn't mean there's not aspects of truth in every fiction that we tell, but words are just descriptions and not the actuality. You will never get wet by the word water. You will never get filled by reading the menu. Only the actuality of food. You'll never get to California, unless you're already there, by reading a map. You got to take a step. So we're using words as a description. And in my way of thinking, every description is an aspect of truth. Is it the ultimate truth? We don't know. Maybe we'll know one day. Maybe we won't. The thing is, we live in the mystery and we accept the paradox. And we enjoy the stories, knowing that they are an aspect of truth. And it's ours. We get to hold on to that for however long we get to hold on to it. But again, when you see how the function of the mind from a psychological perspective, modern psychology, Buddhist psychology, and yogic psychology, um, you see how we've been living our life through the addiction to thoughts. And when you give up that addiction, you get to entertain everything. You get to entertain every theory, every thought system, everything. You're no longer attached to them. So you're no longer interested in arguing about it. This is the way things are. This is the way things are. Honestly, it feels to me like Lupus is right on that threshold. He's a mystic in the making. Jay says, Lupus, if that question could be answered and proven, would we act differently? Excellent question. Here's another question. Who would we be without any of our questions? If they never popped in our mind, who would we be? Who would we be without any of our beliefs? Who would we be without any of our opinions? Wolf says, Lupus, we know what we believe. Like Yogi, for instance, he believes he's a great guy. But is he? The world will never know. Well, maybe some know. Depends on who you talk. Some people will give you different answers to that very same question. Day to day, the same person. I can guarantee you, Mocha's had two separate opinions of me one time or another. And no one knows me better. Jay says, okay, let's go deep. What are we? That's the ultimate question. Any answer that you come to, you got to throw away. Because it's just a label. It's just a description. So we keep diving in. And ultimately, we just get to mystery and more mystery and more mystery. I don't want to fall too far behind. I am falling too behind, but I want to address that. Because I love talking about that. It reminds me of the story from William James when he was giving a lecture. William James being considered the father of American psychology. He was also a very deep mystic. This is before people began making that separation between science and spirit, between mind and spirit. He was given a talk, no idea what the talk was on, and a lady stood up and said, Mr. Williams, I have a theory of the universe, that the universe resides on the back of a turtle, which is actually found in cosmology stories all across the world. And that everything's taking place on the back of one giant universal turtle. And William James smiled and said, suppose you're right, but what's beneath the turtle? And she laughed and said, you think you had me with that, didn't you, Mr. James? The answer is it's turtles all the way down. I love that story. Turtles all the way down. It's a great allegory. It's mystery all the way down. Every time you think you know, the rug's going to be pulled out and you find out there wasn't even a rug. Another level, and you find out levels are just another story. There are no levels. We just keep getting back to mystery and mystery and mystery. Who am I is the question that Ramana Maharshi would ask incessantly, and he would tell his disciples. Not only that, but he would say, who is asking, who am I? There's the rub. That's the big thing. After you've been asking yourself for an extended period of time, who am I? Ask yourself, who's asking, who am I? Who is it that's asking? And when you get to the point where you just shrug, a huge smile comes on your face. Lupus says Lupus says actually by answering you could change perspective, and yet the perspective would be just that. It would be every answer you gave would give you a perspective, but perspective is not the thing itself. A perspective is not who you are. You're the awareness of the perspective. So you got to throw that away too. And you throw that away and that away and that away. We can get to the point that Lupus had a bit of contention with the other day. You can get to the point where you shrug and you realize nothing. I am nothing. And yet, what a beautiful, wonderful nothingness it is, because everything comes in existence within that nothingness. Everything comes from existence from that nothingness. Nothingness isn't empty. It's capacity for everything to be. How can we be living organisms? We are made of organisms. We are, by right, have more microbiotic cells than we have human cells. So are we more microbes or are we more human? Lupa says, everything you said, we might not exist. Well, we do exist. However, we don't exist the way we think we exist. We can trade out existence with awareness. Am I aware? What's the one thing that was consistent when we were born? We didn't know anything. We didn't have any labels. We couldn't point and think, that's my mom, that's my dad, that's the doctor who's getting ready to hit me on the ass for some reason. I don't know why. We couldn't think any of that, and yet we were aware. All right. Jay says, Lupus, we are no more than engines, brother. Our purpose is to keep the planet full of air. We just recycle air, reproduce, make sure this continues. My only suggestion is we just keep pulling the rug out from under ourselves. Every time we come up with a story, pull the rug out and find out it's a story. It's a description. Maybe a useful description, but a description nonetheless. It's a thought, and thoughts are never the thing. You know, again, I love the metaphor that you can't get wet with the word water. Lupa says, so either. I'm not even going to read the rest of it. As soon as you say so either, what's the point? So either. It doesn't have to be either this or either that. That's the paradox. Accept the paradox. Throw everything else away. Throw all of it away. And what are you left with? You're left with just being. You're the capacity for a story to be told. But you're not the story. You're the capacity for the story to be told. Right now, you are the story of whatever this is. I'm the story of an old white guy in glasses talking about stories until I become a story of something else. But the story is always a work of fiction. The actuality is simply our awareness, simply our... One day we'll do the Douglas Harding experiments. We'll point and we'll see the nothingness and the capacity that nothingness holds. I will read the last part there. Pick a side, man. Absolutely not. I refuse to pick a side. Not only do I refuse to pick a side, there is no I that is capable of picking a side, and there are no sides. You said you shouldn't change a person's perspective. I might have said that. It's not for me to do so. Our perspectives can change completely on their own, just by changing how we think. Mostly, though, by changing what we project. As soon as we become aware that we are projecting our fears into the world, that might be the only choice we have. Do I continue to project, or do I now extend? Extending love is the only thing that I know of that we're meant to do. However, we're projecting fear. By changing the perspective, by forgiving not the effect, by going straight to the cause, we end that projection of fear. And we find ourselves as a natural extension of love. MF Dritson says, this vessel will make excellent worm food when I'm done. Not me. I want to feed more than worms. I'd like to be just dragged in the woods. I want to share with the birds. I want to be nibbled on by a bear. I want squirrels to come up and sniff me and say, man, what the heck is that? Nothing the matter with worms. They can enjoy as well. I just don't want to be limited to worms. Jay says, MF, workout worms. Lupa says, we are the gods, creators of the way the computer works. It's an awful high opinion of ourselves, isn't it? Jay says, Lupus, that knowledge is released to us over time. It was always there. Dredson said, Jace, there's will be some strong worms. Worms on steroids. Let's see. Man, I'm not too far behind. Lupa says, so I am nothing. I will let you figure that out yourself. I can't tell you what you are. I can sort of imply what we're not. Keep asking that question, who am I? And keep dismissing every answer and see where you end up. Lupa says, so truth, as you said, doesn't exist. Who knows? Keep diving in. Let's each answer these questions on our own, but don't settle on any one answer. It's like a Zen koan. The Zen koan, does a dog have Buddha nature? And the answer is moo, not M-O-O, M-U, which sort of implies a shrug. Some might say that a dog is Buddha nature. Doesn't have, but is. But who knows? That's the nature of a koan. It's a paradox. You think you have the answer, and you don't have the answer. Keep throwing all the answers out and keep asking. Anthony Robbins, not one of my favorite guys, but he had a wonderful quote. The quality of our life depends upon the quality of our questions. If you keep questioning, is this true? Can I absolutely know for certain that it's true? Absolutely certain, 100%. Not a shred of doubt, not in my mind, but if even one person has a shred of doubt in their mind, then can it be true? And here's another question. Who would I be if I didn't believe that this was true? Imagine if every world leader who was about to commit a atrocity, invade another country, bomb another country, do this, and if they said to themselves, who would I be if I didn't believe this was necessary? Who would I be if I didn't believe this was true? Who would I be? Who would I be? Who would I be? Could you still do something like that? In the absence of a thought, who are you? In the absence of the thought that this person harmed me, this person is a threat, this person is my enemy, are they? The absence of a thought. And you can rush and answer that. However, what you're giving me is a thought. In the absence of your thought otherwise, who are you? And who are we together? Let's see. Lupus says, Jace, just before Mass there was light. However, just after Mass there was still light. Jace says, Lupus, I can prove that incorrect, brother. Close your eyes and picture pure darkness. We will see no boundaries. Do this and I will check part 2. One of my favorite things, well, let's go through this first. Lupus says, I see darkness, close one eye, and you see nothing. Just close one eye, and then see the perspective of nothing. The thing is, we're all arguing for our own versions of a story. Jay says, Lupus, now close your eyes and picture the same darkness, but place the sun anywhere. The darkness remains, but the sun is always visible. Dredson says, when someone is born deaf, what language do they think in? They don't. They don't think in a language. And yet, thinking somehow takes place. That's the magic of pure awareness. Awareness is not thought. Awareness is that which allows thought to take place. So you don't need thought to be aware. A thought is just an object within awareness. I am just an object within awareness, and yet I am. Lupus says, the paradox is that you change sides to say that we are all nothing with the truth as a story. To we are something. Welcome to the world of paradoxes, my friend. This is why they say, Zen Buddhism, that emptiness is form, form is emptiness. How can that be? How can emptiness be form? How can form be emptiness? I don't know. Figure it out. Or you know what? Don't figure it out. Don't even try to intuit it. Just accept. Life's a mystery. Life is mystery. Pretty amazing. And you know what? When you give up the need for any ultimate answers, you're absolutely free. You realize every answer is just a thought. Again, it's not the thing itself. A tree is independent of your thought, of your label of a tree. It is simply a tree. Reality is independent of any belief we have of reality itself. Can we know reality? Certainly. We're breathing it. We're existing in it. We are it. Can we settle on one description of it? Absolutely not. We'll argue forever on those descriptions. Forever. Literally. We're doing it now. Everyone wants to say, but this story, but this story, but this story. Let's throw away every story, and at the same time, let's accept that everyone has a story that works for them until it doesn't. And then here's the magic of it all. We can either let go of the story or we can adapt a new story that we might find helpful. That's how people recover from addictions, from drug addiction, alcoholism, all kinds of stuff. They trade one story for another. That story just might be more useful and helpful. At some point in life, through the practice of self-inquiry and meditation, through deep prayer work, through an epiphany that happens completely on its own, through visualizing, whatever, you might come to the point where you want to throw out all the stories and just be and just live. Or maybe not. It is useful to have a story that keeps you happy, that keeps you healthy. And of course, miracles, they say, our purpose isn't to, everything's a dream. It's all an illusion. Our purpose isn't to wake up from the dream, because how can the dream character ever wake up in the dream? Only the dreamer himself wakes up. Our goal in this life is to simply dream a happier dream. I love that analogy. Just dream a happier dream. It's enough for right now. That would be my wish for you guys. With that, I'm going to be shutting things down in just a few minutes. But my wish for you guys is either a happier dream or to awaken from the dream, whichever is suited for your position right now. Lupus says thoughts lead to beliefs. Pick a side, Yogi. You keep insisting that there's one, that there's sides, and two, that I have to pick one. Ain't gonna happen. Let's see. William says, "Hey Yogi, did you see my post?" I did not. I'm sorry, William. Um, could you retype it, my friend? I apologize. I haven't done very well with the comments because it's so much fun to talk about um, that I end up getting not distracted, but enjoying the conversation. Lupus says, or Jace says, Lupus, I hope one day you can see the sun in the darkness. The brain is capable of way more than we realize, but needs to be open. That's enlightenment, I believe. Nicely said, Jace. Lupus says, our brain capacity can't make our own world, or is that what you think? It's funny that people always talk about religious people being very dogmatic and unable to step outside of their thought system or their beliefs, and yet we have someone who wants to present themselves as very rational and scientific, who is extremely dogmatic in the scientific, even though the greatest scientific thinker of our time, Einstein, embraced the mystery of it all. Let's see. Judson says, I thought about being burning in the root ball of a young tree so the decay can fuel feed the tree. Nice. I like that. I like that visualization. Judson says, Lupus, that means rather than saying it's our perspective, just say that it's your perspective. Absolutely. Lupus says, but you taught us we were something. I absolutely did. Jace says, Lupus, that is some amazing answer. Your time will happen, I'm sure. I agree with that, Jace. Lupus says, and I meant that my dad regrets you. Uh, Probably not. I had some quality time, some meaningful time with my father. The moment he passed away, um, the very moment, the very moment he passed away, and I held his hand through the night. Let's see. Lupus says, I have no time because I believe knowledge is key. As Yogi said, you shouldn't try to change someone's fate. There is no however. Not everything binds you itself or will be equally full of atoms and think the same. Lupus has thoughts lead to beliefs. Pick a side, Yogi. You really think I'm going to pick a side? Let's see. Leo's here. Leo, I'm sorry. Did I miss you come in earlier? Let's see. Dretson says discourse could continue at Parmesan Vaporwave. Is that your discourse? Let's see. Pair of ducks. I have a great fondness for ducks. So I'm all in for the pair of ducks. William says, you're perceiving it as what it is offered in an action. You act on presentation. You choose to change or not. then changing your knowledge would be against another's will. That's assuming that there is someone there to um, choose to change. And the question would be, is there? And can you know for certain? And who is it? Is whoever it is that's choosing, has it been a constant? Is it the same chooser throughout the course of life? Or does choosing simply happen? It says, pick a side. He said, awareness leads to thought. I don't think I ever said awareness leads to thought. I think I said that we are aware of thoughts, that we are not our thoughts. I think I said that awareness precedes thoughts. I didn't say it was the cause of thoughts. Dresden says, my friend's live stream. Nice. Do you have a link you want to drop? Well, it says, please like channel. MF, I will follow. Please link channel. All right, I just brought that up. I'll check it out after the live stream. What's up, Leo? I apologize for missing you above, my friend. When did the reps go down today? Liba says, I followed up with what you said. I won't change my mind. As Eric said, we are all living through what we always do. Liba says, needed to start an argument to actually prove that everything is fake. Unfortunately, no one was arguing. Mr. Poopinator says, fart from me, bro. Man, I was verbally farting all above. I could probably say everything I said up above was some type of verbal fart. How are you, my friend, Mr. Poopinator? Judson says, Mr. Poopinator, can't help but chuckle reading your name. I laugh every time I read his name, and I feel very lighthearted every time my friend shows up into the chat. Jay says, Leo, did he catch the end of my live today? Judson says, I don't know if it works to copy and paste here. I think it does. Yep. Only Vaporware tunes. Leo says he's been using the 35-pound vest for my burpees lately. Might try to do some 5 pumps with it today after I get home. Wow. Big work. Weight vest is a game changer. Matthew says, not going to be able to stay. I love you all and have a wonderful day. You too, my friend Matthew. I appreciate you coming in. It's been a week or two. Leo says, do burpees, guys. Mental health through physical feats. Can't deny the benefits of burpees. I've seen some big changes from people just doing burpees. Could they have gotten it from, I don't know, squats, ultra running? Probably. But, you know, we are geared for what we're geared for when we are geared for it. And for some of us right now, it's burpees. For me, at one time, it was powerlifting. For one time, it was Olympic lifting. For one time, it was kettlebell sport. And then it was ultra running. And for now, it's burpees. And has been for, let's see, I think we're at 900, and we might have hit 950 by now. Jacob's here. Jacob is dropping links. So, we're going to call it a day. going to call it an afternoon. I'm going to do a few things. We'll be back. If it says, hello, my friend. You proved the paradox. Well, if it's all paradoxical, what's the proof? Um, I think all of us were talking about a paradox. Leo said, do burpees lupus? That's when we hit the bottom line, guys. When everything says, I can't do another rep. When the body says, I can't do another rep. And when the mind says, I can't do another rep, and yet somehow you do another rep. I used to always talk to people about 100-mile races, 24-hour races. You reach a point where the body gives up. It's just done. And then the mind pushes you through for another 20 miles. And then mind gives up. And you're still another 20 miles from the finish line. And you make it. How did you do it? If you had no more willpower, there was no more motivation, the body was done, finished. What was it that got you to the finish line? What was it that gets you one more rep when you're doing the Holy Grail? Pure spirit, pure curiosity. What happens if I do one more rep? What would happen if I did one more rep? What would happen if I took one more step? Before you know it, you're at the finish line. The race is over. You've hit the Holy Grail. There it is. The body can do wonderful things, and it'll go on and on and on. The mind can do even more wonderful things, and it'll bring the body along. But eventually, the mind's done, and the body is done, and there is something greater still that will carry us through. Find out what it is. The only way to do it is to dive in. Poopinator says, you got 5 more minutes. If the Poopinator says, I got 5 more minutes, then I got 5 more minutes. Let's see. Lupa says, he said you shouldn't change someone's fate. No, man, I said a whole lot of stuff, didn't I? A whole lot of stuff. Miss Poopinator says, fate is just that. You can't argue that. Fate is just that. Jay says, do burpees? That should be our standard answer across the board. Mr. Poopinator says, push it to the limit, Eric. Let's see. Lupa says, I am very knowledgeable. I just proved the paradox to an argument. And yet, the only person he was arguing with was Lupus. Lupus proved, 1, that he was arguing with himself, and 2, that he made himself right. Absolutely amazing. Definitely applauding, and I mean that sincerely. I don't know if I've ever argued in any of the conversations I've ever had on YouTube. Let's see. Mr. Poopinator says, know one thing about one last breath. What do you mean, Poopinator? Eric says, sorry, I had a call. I'm back. Thanks for coming back. Jacob says, hey, and goodbye, everyone. Thank you for having me on your live stream for 5 minutes, brother, Mr. Yogi. Talk to you later. Thank you, Jacob. Appreciate you, my friend. Warren says, welcome back. We got a salute from Lupus. Jay says, take care, Jacob. Lupus says, you maybe, Jace, MF, Eric, and more. Me? Many people? Poopinator says, don't take you as the argumentative type, Eric. Uh, yeah, not really. I like talking about stuff, and that's what I thought we were doing. I didn't realize that I didn't realize that we were arguing. Had I realized that, I would have put my argumentative hat on. And it's a very sharp hat. It has a pointy top. It's green, long. Because if how do you argue with someone who's wearing a super ridiculous hat? You can't. All you can do is laugh. Lee says, "Hey Eric, sorry I missed you live. That's okay, my friend." Lupa says, "You have a hat for that? I have a hat for everything, my friend." um, Lupa says, "Oh, you know what? I'm mistaken. I do not have a hat for burpees. You know why? Because I need to be aerodynamic. I need to have that head shaven so I can dive through the air and not be burdened." People were to say, "Eric, what's your secret for doing burpees for almost 1,000 days in a row without taking a day off?" It's not having any hair. Not having any hair at all. Lupus, my friend, I think you take me way too seriously. William says, take care, everyone. Have a blessed night. You too, William. Jason says, I made mine go faster this morning. Jason and I are in the same hair club. Lupus says, could have a double use for that argument hat. Lupus says, I am not serious. Then you and I are in the same place. Eric Point says, I'm shaving now. Are you shaving your head now? Oh, you're shaving now for the burpees, for the burpee reps. Hey, look at our clean shaven friend Burpee Reaper. The best reps in the game. So I'm not an argumentative person. However, I will argue till my last breath. The best reps in the burpee game belong to the Burpee Reaper. It's not putting down anyone else's reps. The total package, everything combined, displayed by Burpee Reaper. Now look at his head. Not 100% clean shaven, but you're not going to find. I have it on good authority. I can't reveal my sources. That in actuality, the Burpee Reaper has thick, curly blonde hair. Puffs out at the side. Looked like a blonde Art Garfunkel, but thicker. But he found out that it was interfering with his burpee form. Got rid of all the hair. That's the extent of his commitment to those perfection of reps. I can't reveal my sources, but it's absolutely true. And you can tell that it's absolutely true by the serious look that I have on my face when I tell you this story. Jay says, Reaper does ballet though, it's cheating. We all have our hidden secrets, don't we? Lee says, Jace, hey buddy. Lipa says, paradox. Well, I hadn't thought of that before. Lee Lu says, I have undescribed Eric from a channel I used to watch. My Path, My Heart is guiding me here now. I really like the people that frequent this channel. It's amazing to hear, Lee, and very much appreciate that. I'm amazed at the people who show up. I'm amazed at the people who show up and stay for whatever reason they do, and for however long they do so. Jay says, Eric, I nearly wet myself. You can ask Reaper if anything that I said was true. He'll deny it, but the very denial, that will give you the truth. Eric Point says, "I believe every word." Well, of course. Again, would this face make up a story? Let's see. Lupa says, "Paradox, Yogi, paradox." You know what? If you had said it just one time, I would have shrugged my shoulders and said, "No, no." But you said it twice, and that last one, that's what convinced me. That's the confirmation that I needed. 100%, my friend. Paradox. Paradox. We're saying that twice. You can't say paradox once. Lupus, it's always fun to have a discussion with you, my friend. Man, I certainly hope Burpee Reaper is not going to hold this conversation against me. All right, we're going to wrap things up. Jace, I made a video for you today. Hopefully I'll be posting it. I'm waiting for Mocha. I should say Mocha made a video. She's the one who filmed it. Oh, and she delivered. So I'll post it in just a little bit. I also made a breathwork video. If anyone is interested in using breathwork, I got a video using Ujjayi breathing and 4x4 breathing. Short one. I wanted to get the point across very succinctly. Let's see. Lee says, Eric, are you on later today? 10:15 UK time? I am. Yep. Jay says, you done the challenge? I did. Took me a bit. In yoga, it's called the crow pose, and I stopped doing it for, I guess it's about 9 months. I injured my back doing something really stupid. So I had to reevaluate my entire yoga practice, what I could do, what aggravated it, and what didn't, especially in light of wanting to do burpees every day. So I took a whole bunch of postures out, but I've slowly been adding them in through the last several months as my back gets better and better. And I thought today was the day. Jace put that out there, and I got to step up. And it's a good day to test, see how it felt. So thank you for doing that, Jace. Very much appreciated. And you can let me know. Dupa says, hey, meditation. I'm going to definitely make a meditation video as well. Mr. Pupinator says, good man, right here in my chapter of life. I can't talk for anyone else. Thank you, Mr. Pupinator. You've proven to be a great, great friend. Across the board. Always appreciate it when you show up. I appreciate that you did show up. Jay says, I've just clicked. I'm doing the breathing during the workout. Jace is a natural yogi. Jace is, he's channeling all the yogis that came before, all the Taoist masters that have come before. He's receiving yogic lore through the ethers, through the astral planes. Lupa says, I have the lack of creativity and the lack of friends. Hey, you got friends here, my friend. I'm certainly a friend. And hey, you've made some very creative conversations. Almost the entirety of this conversation has been based around your creativity. That's pretty amazing, my friend. Jace says, Lupus, you're now my friend. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Jace. Mr. Poopinator said, that is lovely. Man, I appreciate all you guys. Lupus says, respect. Respect to you, my friend. Midwest. Hey there. Have been watching your lives. Thank you, Midwest. Point says, yeah, Lupus, you have friends here? Absolutely. You don't need to think like us. None of us think exactly alike, which just goes to show you don't have to think like anyone here to be our friend or to have a conversation with us. You certainly don't have to think like me. I don't even think like me all the time. Sometimes I don't even think. Those are the best times of all. Jay says, hey to Midwest. Midwest says, I like that you interact with the chat a lot. A lot don't. I've heard that from other people, and I find that amazing that, that you don't interact with the chat. It's all about having a conversation. It's all about having conversations with people who might be different than you. William Danny says, Yogi, my man. William, how are you? I saw you were live earlier. Was unable to make it. I apologize. Mostly, I'm sorry that I missed it for my own sake because I'd love nothing more than a William Downey live stream session. No matter what he's doing. If he's sitting in his car having a conversation, of course, my favorite. Well, you know what? I was about to say my favorite in the gym and when he sits down for some eggs. I'm going to take that back. My favorite is William Downey in a rocking chair. Is there anything better than William Downey in a rocking chair in the mountains? One thing. If he was whittling, the one thing that would have made that better, two things. If he was eating a Ritz cracker and he was whittling, maybe stopping and whistling a happy tune every once in a while, that would have been the best. However, I will settle for William Downey in a rocking chair. Let's see. Jay says, we are more than viewers. This is family. Absolutely. Yep. And it's so great that I get to interact with everyone on their channels as well. Jace has become part of my morning practice. It goes from the breath work to the meditation, to the yoga, to the coffee and writing, to having Jace up for that dose of what Jace offers. And it's in a category of its own. Eric Point says, yes, Midwest, I'm already a friend. Lupus says, thou must now leave the comfort industrial zone of application. Cheerio. Cheerio, my friend. That might be the only time I've ever said cheerio in a conversation before. Might be the only time I've actually said cheerio out loud. I know the word, but on what occasion would I ever have to use the word cheerio? Until now. So Lupus, again, going back to your creativity, you got me to say cheerio. How creative is that? And only a friend could do that. Jay says, take care, Lupus. William says he's doing great. William says, it's okay, Yogi. There'll be more in the future. Hey, before I go, let me click on William's channel. It's been about a week or so since I looked at his sub count. Sub count isn't everything. However, we have a goal. 1K for William Downey by 1/1/25, and he's at 759 Well deserved. As well, one more I want to look at before we go. I have Jace up playing live stream right now, going through his playlist. I'm sorry. He's at 679. I believe our friend Mira is soon to help with this. Jay says, I take you to bed in the evening, Eric. You, me, and Xena on the phone, of course. Well, that's much appreciated. I can think of nothing better than hanging out with you and Xena. William says, Eric LaPointe, hello. At one time in my life, I had an Adirondack rocking chair. One of the big ones, hand carved. Inherited it, not from family. When we bought a house, they left it on the deck. Awesome thing to have found. I regret I didn't take advantage of it. All right, so I apologize for the guys who have come in just recently, but we're going to call it an afternoon. I'll be back about 2 hours. We can talk about this stuff. We can talk about other stuff. It's all good with me. I do love these conversations. It gives us all something to think about, another perspective to open up to. I don't know as we need to reach a conclusion. Should anyone be convinced and say, yes, that is absolutely the way? Or could we say, yes, that is a way? Many streams, they all reach the ocean. And that's where we meet. We meet in the ocean. Not every stream needs to meet along the way, but eventually we all meet to the ocean. Last thing I'll say is, as Alan Watts said, that as a tree branches and the universe waves, the ocean waves, the universe solves, the universe peoples. We're all one thing from that universal perspective. One thing. Jay says, I have a choice of two hairs to cut. Always go with the left. My advice. I don't often give advice, but here it is. When given a choice of 2 hairs to cut, always choose the one on the left. Why? Don't know. Never thought about it before. William says, just wanted to say hi, everyone. I'm going to go cut my hair and run some errands. You say you're going to cut your hair. Do you do your own hairstyle? Because in all seriousness, if you do, really good job. It's a sharp cut, William. Poopinator says, being yourself is who makes you just you. No one shares that quality but you and self. Learning that through this channel. That was nicely said, Poopinator. Jay says, mock run once a week for me in the shower. I do an electric maybe once every 2 weeks. I don't mind getting a little stubble on the head. That way, when the YouTube trolls come in and they say, hey, Baldy, they can point and say, hey, look, see that? It's an actual hair, buddy. Does not convince anyone, but it makes me feel better. So, guys, I'll be back. I'll see everyone later if you're around and you got nothing better to do. Much appreciated. I'm going to tag Jace and the Burpee Reaper as well as our friend William. And I think Leo did the challenge too, right? I'll look around to make sure. I don't want to leave anyone out. Eric Point says, another great live. Thank you, Eric, for being such a big part of it. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how my lives would have shaped up without Eric LaPointe's participation. He came in at really sort of a critical time. It could have kept going or it could have stopped. Unsure of a lot of things. And having someone to talk to on a consistent, regular basis who was open, curious, and above all, was a friend made a huge difference. If you ever get the opportunity to let someone know what a big difference they made, always take that opportunity. For me, it's important. And with that said, all of you guys definitely make a big difference. Yesterday, 72 people streamed into the live stream. And I was like, whoa, 72 people. The previous best was 58. However, within maybe 20 minutes, I think there might have been a couple new people who ended up staying for a while. But in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, the vast majority of them were gone. The essential remained. You guys are the essential. The great thing about an essential, we can always grow by one. Always grow by one. And they add up. But never doubt that you guys are essential to me. As well, you're essential just for being you. Eric Point says, wow, that was nice. And yes, 72. I think they must have taken a wrong turn somewhere on the YouTube map. They ended up here by mistake. They were confused. They were baffled. They thought that maybe I was serving refreshments. And when they found out there was no refreshments here, they all quickly decided to head elsewhere. Let's see. YouTube can be naughty sometimes. They are bots. Hey, I'll take them. One bot at a time. Some of my best friends are bots. Jay says, I've seen like 500 likes to the stream. It counts, I guess, right? On an algorithm skill. Maybe. Who knows? I just keep showing up every day. Whether you want me to or not, I just keep showing up. And you know what? I probably will continue to do so. And I much appreciate it when you guys do. So, with that, guys, I'm going to see everyone later. Thank you. It was a fun conversation. And I appreciate everyone's input. Barb says, sorry I'm late, but I have been working on orders. That's okay, my friend. Barb, we're going to call it an afternoon. I'll be back later. I hope to see you live if you go live a little bit later. Always fun to spend time with Barb. Jay says, I'm on for a 60K channel. The history said 500 likes for a tattoo. It happened within 2 minutes. Wow. That just convinces me that I need to go out and get a new tattoo. It's been probably a decade since my last. I'm well overdue. I got a couple things in mind. So, with that said, guys, I'll see everyone later. Take care.